I want you to make 2025 your year to start maxing out your Roth IRA. And let me know in the comment section down below if you're already maxing out your Roth IRA and how long you've been doing it. If you're ever confused about your traditional IRA or Roth IRA and how anything works inside of Roth IRAs, you've come to the right place because I've been where you are when I try to figure out why a Roth IRA is so important. Now, keep in mind that a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA is not the same as your 401k. Think of it like the retirement account that you personally own regardless of who your employer is. Because your Roth IRA is not tied to your employer at all. For example, let's say you worked at Apple in 2024 and now you're going to work for Microsoft in 2025. Your Roth IRA stays with you no matter who your employer is. It has no ties to your 401k whatsoever because this is your individual retirement account, while 401k is your employer-sponsored retirement account. So the 401k you have with Apple is going to be with Apple, and the 401k you have with Microsoft is going to be under Microsoft's custody. So before I go any further with this video, you need to first understand the differences between contributions, conversions, and rollovers. From your personal bank account, you can make a contribution in pre-tax dollars to the traditional IRA, which is also known as the deductible contribution, which can lower your tax rate. The other way is to make a contribution in after-tax dollars to the Roth IRA, which means that you're not getting any deductions to lower your tax rates because you're depositing the money you already pay taxes on. And under traditional IRA, because you're delaying your tax payments to the IRS with deductible contributions, your money will grow tax deferred. So you will have to pay income taxes when you start making withdrawals at the age of 59 and a half. Now, the Roth IRA grows tax-free, not tax deferred, because you already pay taxes on the contributions. So all you need to do is wait until you're 59 and a half to make the Roth IRA withdrawals completely tax-free and penalty-free. This is why most people would prefer to contribute to the Roth IRA because of the tax-free growth. And here's something else that most people didn't know they could do, and that is to withdraw your Roth IRA contributions at any time, tax-free and penalty-free, because you already pay taxes on it. So let's say you put $7,000 into the Roth IRA in 2025, and the S&P 500 index fund grew that $7,000 to $7,500, which means that you can take that $7,000 out at any time, but you have to wait until you're 59 and a half to take that $500 in earnings and interest out of the Roth IRA. So these are all contributions, growth, and withdrawals for your traditional IRA and Roth IRA. Now, you can also move money out of your traditional 401k if you're no longer employed with that company. And this is also called a rollover. And think of a rollover like a balance transfer from one account to another, and that's all you're doing. And because it's like a balance transfer, you do not owe any taxes on the rollover. If you have multiple IRAs, you can roll them into a single traditional IRA to make things easier. And it's the same concept with the Roth 401k or Roth IRA. You can make a rollover from your old Roth 401k to your Roth IRA without paying any taxes because you already pay taxes on them. However, at any time you make a balance transfer from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, it has now become a taxable event because it's called a conversion. You're converting pre-tax dollars to after-tax dollars. So the IRS is going to want you to pay up in the following year when you file your taxes. So you will owe taxes in 2026 for the conversions you made in 2025. Now, here's something else to pay attention to, and that's the deductible contributions versus non-deductible contributions for the traditional IRA. What you contribute to your traditional IRA can be either deductible or non-deductible contributions depending on your income. And if you're under the income threshold, then you can lower your tax rates because they're now deductible contributions. If you're over the income threshold, then the money you put into your traditional IRA is considered non-deductible contributions or in after-tax dollars. And let me explain how it works. Please keep in mind that this is just for the traditional IRA and not the Roth IRA, but this is a very important piece of information you need to know, especially if you're doing a backdoor Roth IRA, and I'll get into that in a different segment. And these deductible limits are assuming that you have an employer-sponsored retirement plan like your 401k, 403b, or TSP. So let's say you're not married and filing your taxes as a single individual. If your modified adjusted gross income is less than or equal to $79,000 in 2025, the money you contribute to the traditional IRA becomes a deductible contribution, which will lower your taxes. But if your income is between $79,000 and $89,000, then you only get a partial deduction. And if your income is above $89,000, then the money you put into the traditional IRA becomes non-deductible contribution, or in after-tax dollars. That makes sense so far, right? And if you're married and filing your taxes jointly, then you can lower your taxes by contributing to your traditional IRA if your modified adjusted gross income is less than or equal to $126,000. If you're making above $146,000, then the money you put into the traditional IRA becomes non-deductible contributions, or you cannot lower your taxes. And you have a much lower tax threshold if you're married and filing your taxes separately. And the $10,000 threshold hasn't changed in a while now. And so let's do a quick exercise here, and just so that you have a complete understanding of this. Let's say you are single and your modified adjusted gross income is $78,000 in the calendar year 2025, and you decided to contribute $7,000 to your traditional IRA. Is this a deductible contribution or a non-deductible contribution? The answer is deductible contributions, because it is a pre-tax contribution that's well under the income limit on the right side. So that $7,000 you put in can become tax deductible from your income. Let me give you another scenario here. So let's say you are married and you're filing your taxes jointly, and your modified adjusted gross income is $150,000. Is this a deductible contribution or a non-deductible contribution? The answer is non-deductible contribution, because it is an after-tax contribution that's well above the income limit of $146,000. So the $7,000 you put into the traditional IRA is an after-tax dollars. Let me know in the comment section down below if these exercises helped you understand more about the traditional IRA. But you also have to put non-deductible contribution in the form 8606, and I will explain more on that later on in this video. So what do you think is better? Investing $500 a month, making 10% return, or investing $1,000 a month, making a 7% return on investment? You can't figure out how much you can invest without a budget. There's no way around it. I personally tested out the budgeting app called YNAB, and it's not just an app that can track your income and expenses, but it can even help you create a plan to pay down your student loans, car loans, personal loans, or credit cards a lot faster. So if you're ready to change your life by getting out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle, you can get a free trial without any credit card information by using a link in the description below. And these are the deductible limits if you're not covered by a retirement plan at work. So if you do not have a 401k at your job, then these are the deductible limits you want to pay attention to in 2025. If you're single without a 401k at your job, then there's no income limit to deduct your traditional IRA contribution as a deductible contribution. And if you're married and filing your taxes jointly, and neither one of you has a 401k at your job, then there's no income limit to deduct your traditional IRA contribution as a deductible contribution. However, if you're married and filing your taxes jointly, and let's say you do not have a 401k but your spouse does, then you can deduct your traditional IRA contribution if your combined modified adjusted gross income is less than or equal to $236,000. You get a partial deduction if your combined income is between $236,000 and $246,000, and you get no deductions at all if your combined income is more than or equal to $246,000. And if you're married and filing your taxes separately, the income limits will be the same at $10,000. So not having a 401k would benefit your traditional IRA deductions if you're looking to save more money on taxes. And it's really rare now that your employer doesn't give you a 401k, but if you're one of them, then you should pay attention to these deductible limits. Now, let's talk about the Roth IRA, because it also comes with the income limits. And keep in mind that these income limits are set so that you cannot directly contribute from your bank account to your Roth IRA. And if you're not married and filing your taxes as a single individual, your modified adjusted gross income needs to be less than $150,000. If your income is between $150,000 and $165,000, you can only make a partial contribution for the year. If your income is above $165,000, you cannot directly contribute to your Roth IRA, but you will have the option to do the backdoor Roth IRA, which I will discuss in a different segment. And if you're married and filing your taxes jointly, you and your spouse can each contribute to your Roth IRAs as long as your combined modified adjusted gross income is less than $236,000. If your combined income is between $236,000 and $246,000, you can make a partial contribution. If your income is above $246,000, then you cannot directly contribute to your Roth IRA, but you will have the option to do the backdoor Roth IRA. And if you're married and filing your taxes separately, again, your income threshold is much lower and the IRS has set the limit to $10,000. So let's do a quick exercise. And let's say your modified adjusted gross income is $149,999 as a single individual. Can you directly contribute to your Roth IRA? The answer is yes. You can directly contribute from your bank account to your Roth IRA for up to $7,000 because you're below the Roth IRA income limits. And let's do another exercise here. And let's say your modified adjusted gross income is $246,000 as a married couple filing your taxes jointly. Can you and your spouse directly contribute to your Roth IRAs? The answer is no. You and your spouse cannot directly contribute to your Roth IRA because you're right at the income limit as a married couple filing your taxes jointly. But remember that you will have a backdoor Roth IRA option if your employer comes with a 401k plan or other 401k type plans. And just because you're above the Roth IRA income limits, it doesn't mean that you cannot make the conversion every year. Now, let's talk about the eligibility to open a Roth IRA. Anyone can open a Roth IRA regardless of their age. If you're under the age of 18, however, you need to have your parents or guardians open what's called a custodial Roth IRA for you. Regardless of your age, you just need to have an earned income in the year you want to contribute to your Roth IRA. If you have a teenager working at a fast food restaurant, then your teenager can contribute to their custodial Roth IRA, and you as a parent claiming your teenager as a dependent can actually contribute to the Roth IRA on their behalf. So if your teenager makes $10,000 from working at McDonald's in 2025, then you can have them contribute, let's say, $3,500, and you can contribute the other $3,500 on their behalf. It's completely up to you. However, if your teenager earns $6,000 from McDonald's, then all you can contribute is $6,000 and not $7,000 because they earn less than the Roth IRA contribution limit. That makes sense so far, right? And if you're over the age of 18, you still need to have an earned income to be eligible to contribute to a Roth IRA. And what's really awesome about the Roth IRA is that if you and your spouse are filing your taxes jointly and only one of you has an earned income, your stay-at-home spouse can open and contribute to what's called a spousal Roth IRA for another $7,000 as long as you have a joint household income. So if you and your spouse make at least $14,000 in 2025, you can each contribute $7,000 to your Roth IRA. But just remember that anyone can open a Roth IRA, but to directly contribute from your bank account to the Roth IRA, you need to be under the Roth IRA income limits. And keep in mind that the income limits do change every year to adjust for inflation. So the Roth IRA income limits in 2025 were raised by about 2.6% from 2024. And they're going to raise the Roth IRA income limits again for 2026 based on the inflation rate from 2024 to 2025. And assuming that you are under the Roth IRA income limits, here's how the contribution works. You have a bank account, checking account, or savings account where your W-2 income comes in after you pay your taxes to the government. So the IRS automatically assumes that the money in your checking account or savings account is in after-tax dollars. So when you make a transfer from your checking account to your Roth IRA, This process is called an after-tax contribution. Every dollar you put into your Roth IRA is already taxed, so the government cannot tax you again. And once you make the transfer to your Roth IRA, remember the extra step you have to take, because this is a very common mistake people make. This money just sits in there, barely making any interest in a money market fund. So the next step is to invest that money in stocks, index funds, ETFs, or something that is going to grow your money. And you want to find an investment with a low expense ratio, so the investment expenses do not eat into your profit. The money that grows inside your Roth IRA will grow tax-free. And when that money is fully invested in your Roth IRA, let's say with an index fund or some kind of investment, then it's going to generate what's called interest and earnings. So if you contribute $7,000 to your Roth IRA and the earnings generate $500, then that $500 is going to be your earnings, right? It is very important that you memorize these two words, contributions and earnings. Contributions are the dollars you already pay taxes on from your checking account, and earnings are what grew from these dollars you contributed to the investment. You have to keep track of how much you contribute to your Roth IRA every single year. And now that you have a good understanding of how a traditional IRA and Roth IRA works, let me show you how you can use a Roth IRA to make those 401k rollovers. And when you quit your job, you can no longer contribute to your 401k, but you can move the money out of your 401k to your current 401k, or you can move it to your IRAs. There's a good chance that you have your old 401k plan somewhere that you forgot about, because there's over $1.7 trillion in unclaimed money. So Congress is starting a 401k database to allow you to find your old retirement accounts in 2025. So if you do find an old retirement account from your previous employer, you have the option to roll that over to your IRA or Roth IRA. So let's say you have both traditional 401k and traditional 401 or Roth 401k with your previous employer. If you don't want to pay any taxes, you'll need to open a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA unless you already have them. It doesn't matter if you have Vanguard, Schwab, Fidelity, or other well-known broker for your traditional IRA and Roth IRA. However, it is much easier if you have both IRAs with the same broker. So you probably don't want to have a traditional IRA with Vanguard and a Roth IRA with Fidelity if you need to make conversions on an annual basis. But anyway, you'll still need to contact your old 401k broker to sign a release to move the money to another account. And then you want to fill out a rollover form from your IRA broker. This is a rollover process and does not incur any taxes, like I said earlier, for the tax year when you move your money from your traditional 401k to your traditional IRA, because you're just moving pre-tax dollars from one account to another. And this is also a reversible process, which means that you can move money from your traditional IRA back to your traditional 401k at any time if you change your mind. And it makes sense to move it to your current 401k and not your old 401k, right? And for the Roth 401k, because you already pay taxes on it, they're the after-tax dollars. So when you move your after-tax dollars from your Roth 401k to your Roth IRA, you're not going to owe any taxes on that rollover. The IRS cannot tax you twice. But keep in mind that this is an irreversible process, which means that once you move money from your Roth 401k to your Roth IRA, you cannot change your mind and move it back to your Roth 401k. You also have the option to do a direct conversion from a traditional 401k to your Roth IRA, which means that any pre-tax dollars that you move out of your traditional 401k to your Roth IRA will become taxable income. So if you make $70,000 in 2025 and you move $10,000 out of your traditional 401k to your Roth IRA, then your income for 2025 is going to be $80,000. That makes sense so far, right? And you can always convert much later. Once your money is inside your IRAs, you can always convert your traditional IRA to your Roth IRA, and that also becomes a taxable event because, again, you're converting pre-tax dollars in your traditional IRA to after-tax dollars in your Roth IRA. And keep in mind that all of these conversions and rollovers do not count towards contributions at all. You can still contribute $7,000 to your Roth IRA and make conversions or rollovers on top of the $7,000. So your Roth IRA can start to grow tax-free every year. Every dollar that you earn in your Roth IRA can also become tax-free when you turn 59 and a half. Again, before you turn 59 and a half, the only money you can take out of your Roth IRA is your contributions. But if you take the earnings out of your Roth IRA, then you would owe a 10% penalty, federal income tax, and state income tax if it's applicable to you. Your Roth IRA is a very powerful investment vehicle because of the tax-free growth. And that's why it is something you need to prioritize right after the 401k employer match every single year until your retirement.